ముందుగా మీకందరికీ భారత జాతీయ రాజ్యాంగ దినోత్సవ సందర్భంగా హృదయపూర్వకమైనటువంటి మరి అభినందనలు అభివాదనలు తెలియజేస్తూ ఉన్నాను. ముందుగా ఇది మొట్టమొదట నేషనల్ లాయర్స్ డేగా దీన్ని సెలబ్రేట్ చేసుకుంటూ ఉన్నారు. 2015 నుంచి దీన్ని భారత రాజ్యాంగ దినోత్సవంగా మార్చడం జరిగింది. మరి ఈ యొక్క భారత రాజ్యాంగ దినోత్సవం యొక్క ప్రాముఖ్యతను గురించి కేవలం నేను ఒక 5 నిమిషాలు మాత్రమే మీతో నేను మాట్లాడతాను. మరి కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ డే 2025 a fit occasion to reclaim the spirit of the democratic republic. My dear friends, November 26, 1949 marked a defining moment in India's civilizational journey. The day our constitution was adopted by the Constituent Assembly. It came into force on 26th January 1950 and the Republic of India was born on that day. It was not merely an adoption of legal document but the moral rebirth of a nation emerging from centuries of colonial exploitation entrenched the social hierarchies. The Constitution transformed the destiny of people long denied equality, dignity under the oppressive structures of Manuvadi-led Sanatana social order. It was on this foundation that the makers of our Constitution, led by none other than father of Indian Constitution, Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, envisioned a modern democratic republic grounded in liberty, equality and fraternity, the very tide that defines the human and just society. What was the Ambedkar's vision? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar repeatedly reminded the nation that mere political independence was not enough. True freedom, he said, would be hollow without social and economic democracy. In his final address, మనం గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి, final address to the Constituent Assembly on November 25th, 1949, he issued a timeless warning. Even that warning still valid today. ఏమని చెప్పాడంటే, we must not be content with mere political democracy. We must make our political democracy a social democracy as well. Political democracy cannot last unless there lies at the base of it a social democracy. For Ambedkar, liberty, equality and fraternity were not isolated ideals but mutually reinforcing principles essential to the end the deeply noted caste hierarchies and discrimination that has divided the Indian society for millennia. The Constitution thus was intended to be a revolutionary social charter, not a mere administrative code, just not static or technical legal document. It is a dynamic, living framework that reflects and guides the evolving needs, values and spirit of the nation and its people. That is why he said, Constitution is not a mere lawyer's document, it is a vehicle of life. And Baba Sahib Ambedkar's design of the Constitution rested on 2 fundamental basic features. Number 1, a federal structure ensuring the autonomy of the states and an independent judiciary. ఎందుకంటే మనం కూడా we are also a part of judiciary as the final guardian of citizens' rights. The framers were very conscious that an over-centralized executive could easily slip into authoritarianism. Therefore, powers were deliberately distributed between the union and the states, with the judiciary standing as a neutral arbiter. The Supreme Court and High Court were meant to be the sentinels of the right, ever watchful to protect the spirit of the Constitution against any executive or legislative transgression or overreach. Ambedkar's insistence on judicial independence, we must note, on judicial independence was not institutional vanity, but a profound recognition that in a vast and diverse democracy like India, the rule of law must always prevail over the rule of rulers. According to him, justice has always evoked ideas of equality, of proportion, of compensation. In short, justice is another name of liberty, equality and fraternity. My friends, Dr. Ambedkar warning to the nation, and it is a fit occasion to remember the warning, the premonition of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar's closing address also carried a grave caution for all of us. However good the constitution may be, it is sure to turn out to be bad, because who are called to work, it happened or a bad a lot. Those who are elected to implement the constitution, if they are good, and the constitution will be effective and good. The constitution can be good only if those who are elected to call it work under the constitution are good. So that is the situation with now prevailing in the country. We feared the rise of personality cult. He warned against bhakti or hero worship in politics that could destroy the democracy itself. And what we are witnessing today, only image building exercise, not constitutional functioning. And he said, bhakti in religion may be a road to the salvation, road to the salvation and of the soul. But in politics, bhakti or hero worship is a sure road to degradation and eventual dictatorship. These words today resonate more simply than ever as India witnesses the gradual subordination of institutions to the whims and fancies of a political authority. Now what is prevailing in the country? So over the last 11 years, as we observe, India's democratic institutions have faced unprecedented stress. The autonomy of the constitutional and statutory bodies, the Election Commission, the CBI, the Enforcement Directorate, and even the parliamentary procedures have been systematically eroded. Governors meant to be constitutional heads of the state have turned into political instruments, undermining the elected government. Federalism, once the backbone of cooperative governance, is now yielding to an aggressive centralization of power. The judiciary, once the strongest pillar of the independence, is under increasing pressure nowadays. The government is interfering in judicial appointments by sitting over or returning or kept pending or altering the collegium recommendations, has diluted the very essence of judicial autonomy. In several criminal cases touching upon the citizens' rights, democratic freedoms and institutional accountability, the higher judiciary's prolonged silence or alignment with the executive or the government positions has raised troubling questions about its role as a guardian of the constitution. So the decline is not confined to one institution, and Parliament's deliberative character is also fading under the weight of the brute majority and suspended opposition. Investigating agencies like ED, like CBI are being weaponized to suppress the dissent. The media, largely co-opted, amplifies the propaganda rather than the truth. Civil society and human rights activists and defenders are being stifled through coercive laws and surveillance. This steady erosion represents not just an institutional collapse, but the moral failure of constitutional governance. The very laxity of the elected people that Ambedkar warned could endanger the liberty and fraternity. So what is the way forward for an intellectual like us? Restoring the constitutional supremacy of morality is a fundamental duty of every citizen. To restore true democracy, India must return to the spirit of preamble: justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. This requires restoring the independence of judiciary through transparent appointments, accountability and fearless adjudication. Reviving the federalism by respecting the autonomy of the states and limiting the arbitrary interference by the governors or the central government. Strengthening the constitutional bodies to act independently, insulated from partisan control. Reclaiming civic space, ensuring media freedom, protecting the dissent, the right to dissent, right to oppose the government, and reviving the parliamentary debates. Practicing constitutional morality. As Ambedkar said, it is the conscious adherence to the values of the Constitution, not a blind obedience to the authority of a political person, that sustains democracy. So what would be the final conclusion to all of us? It is a call to our conscience. And on this Constitution Day, as we celebrate the adoption of the Constitution, we must also reflect on whether we have remained faithful to Ambedkar's ideals. The Constitution was meant to empower the weakest, not to entrench the powerful. It was meant to unite India in fraternity, not to divide it on religious and sectarian lines. To honor Baba Saheb Ambedkar is to defend the Constitution on this day. in courts, in legislature, in public discourse, and in conscience of every citizen. We must be very conscious of our responsibility. The survival of democracy now depends not on merely institutions, but on the courage of individuals, of democratic forces, the political parties who believe in the Constitution, and ultimately the people of this country who are the ultimate sovereigns under the Constitution, to protect the Constitution, to uphold the truth and justice against the rising tide of authoritarianism. So my friends, nowadays what we are witnessing, even judiciary also is becoming mostly and increasingly subservient to the powers that be. Therefore it is the bounden duty of lawyers, and it is the bounden duty of any concerned citizens of this country to come forward and to protect this Constitution, to save the democracy. And that is the fittest tribute that we are going to give to Baba Saheb Ambedkar, who labored 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to frame the Constitution. So on this occasion, once again, I call upon every one of you to uphold the Constitution to the best of our ability, and by rejecting the Manuvadi Sanatana forces. Thank you. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat.